Some people believe Britney Spears has been trapped inside a system for years, until the hashtag Free Britney movement exploded. The hashtag took over social media. People were shouting that Britney was being controlled, that her life was in someone else's hands. But what's even wilder? Some people are convinced Britney has been dead for a long time and was replaced by someone who looks like her, based on claims that her face and the way she moves seem different from before. It may sound outrageous, yet countless fans still feel that so much remains hidden, because this system reeks of contradictions and unresolved mysteries. Britney Jean Spears was born on December 2nd, 1981, and grew up in Kentwood, Louisiana. From an early age, she was drawn to entertainment. By 11, Britney was already on TV, joining the Mickey Mouse Club, alongside future stars like Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera. By the late 1990s, Britney had become one of the most famous teenagers on the planet. Her breakout came with Baby One More Time in 1998, which turned her into a global pop icon. That level of fame flipped her life overnight. She went on world tours, appeared on massive TV stages, and became a major face for advertising. But by the mid-2000s, the spotlight wasn't only about her music anymore. Under the weight of intense pressure from the start of her career, Britney's mental health was reported to be getting worse. And as she hit the peak of her popularity, the media watched everything: her relationship, her private life, even the choices she made about her career. Then, on November 7th, 2006, Britney, only 24 at the time, officially filed for divorce from Kevin Federline. Media reports cited court documents that listed irreconcilable differences. From that moment, it was open season. Journalists picked apart her life piece by piece, from the custody fight to her mental state. The paparazzi pressure got even more intense. In 2007, instead of starting fresh, Britney's problems piled up. She checked into rehab, but stayed only a day before returning to Los Angeles and demanding that her ex let her see the kids. When that request was denied, she left in a storm of emotion. Not long after, she walked into a salon and shaved her head. A lot of people decided she had completely lost it, especially after she was reported to have attacked a paparazzi's car. Still, even while headlines painted her as unstable, Britney kept working. She attended the MTV Awards, released new music, and toured internationally, while still fighting for custody in court. The breaking point came in early 2008. On the night of January 3rd, police came to Britney's home after reports said she refused to hand over the children when her visitation time ended. She was taken in for a mental health evaluation. An emergency hearing followed. Britney was placed under psychological evaluation, and Federline was granted full custody of their 2 children. And that's exactly where the conspiracy theories started to grow, fast and out of control, because a lot of people felt something didn't add up. After a string of mental health crises and psychiatric treatment, in early 2008, Britney Spears was placed under a temporary conservatorship. Her father and attorney Andrew Wallet were put in charge, covering personal decisions and the management of her assets, including income and financial transactions. Then in October 2008, the conservatorship was made permanent. No clear end date, no real finish line. So why did this become a breeding ground for conspiracy theories? People were watching 2 realities collide. On paper, the court system said Britney needed strict control, but in real life, through 2008 and 2009, her career didn't look like it belonged to someone who couldn't function. She was still working, releasing music, staying active, and moving like a major star. That contradiction made people uneasy. And then there was the money. Under conservatorship, legal and administrative fees were taken from Britney's own assets. Legally, that can be allowed, but to a public that already felt suspicious, it raised a darker question. Was this system being kept in place because too many people were getting paid as long as it continued? In December 2013, while the conservatorship was still in place, Britney kicked off a Las Vegas residency called Britney Piece of Me at Planet Hollywood. This wasn't a tour, it was the same stage, over and over again. For 4 years, she performed 248 shows, running through the end of 2017. From ticket sales alone, the show was reported to have made more than $137 million. And that number didn't even count the other revenue streams. Her songs still being played everywhere, used in films, ads, and TV. At that point, Britney wasn't just an artist. She was a brand that kept printing money across the entire business. Even after the residency ended, by early 2018, she was preparing another one called Domination. scheduled to start in February 2019. But in January 2019, everything suddenly got cancelled. Britney announced a postponement and said it was because of her father's health. Not long after that, reports surfaced that she entered a 30-day mental health treatment program. With that kind of money involved and Britney not having full control over her assets, people naturally started asking who was managing it and who was getting paid. According to documents discussed by the Los Angeles Times, Britney's lawyer said Jamie Spears received around $6 million, while TriStar, the business management company handling Britney's assets, received about $18 million during the conservatorship. Then came the details that made people even angrier. One report said Jamie collected at least $5 million from Britney. Most of it came from a $16,000 monthly payment starting in 2009 as her conservator, plus office costs, legal fees, and security expenses that Britney also paid for. Jamie also reportedly received 1.5% of ticket sales from the Vegas residency over those 4 years. What really set people off was the claim that Britney was pushed to perform even when she was sick or when she didn't want to. A system meant to protect her started to look like a system that kept her working for money she didn't truly get to enjoy. When a celebrity still generates huge money, a lot of people depend on them. Labels, tour crews, lawyers, business managers, and sponsors. So when Britney later said she felt forced, the public became even more convinced that pressure was coming from the people around her. And that suspicion kept spreading. Fans started to believe if her schedule, her money, and her communication could be controlled, then her image in public could be controlled too. That's when the wild theories took off. Claims that Britney had actually died back in the 2007 to 2008 crisis, or that she had been replaced by an AI version or a lookalike, while the real Britney was hidden away in a psychiatric hospital. In 2019, a fan podcast called Britney's Gram became a turning point. It started out harmless, two fans casually talking about Britney's Instagram posts, her dancing, her facial expressions, and captions that people often found strange. The conversation felt easygoing, even funny. Then an anonymous caller joined the show, and the tone shifted immediately.
I used to be a paralegal for an attorney that worked with Britney's conservatorship. I'm no longer with them. And what is happening is disturbing, to say the least. The doctor said, okay, if you don't want these medications, let's get you on a new one. Well, she refused to take the new one. So Jamie said, either you take this medication or the show's off, and I'm pulling my support and you can't do it. Britney did not follow Jamie's instructions, and so he was true to his word. He pulled the show.
He warned that the star was being forced into medical treatment and that her life was being controlled through a conservatorship, a legal arrangement typically used for elderly people or individuals with severe mental health conditions. Because a conservator has broad authority over the personal and financial decisions of the person under conservatorship, the caller said the show's cancellation in January wasn't really due to Britney's father being ill. He claimed it was Jamie Spears' decision to pull the plug after Britney refused to comply. In that situation, the singer had no real say in what was decided. After that revelation, the tone of the fan conversation shifted. People began reading Britney's posts as hidden messages, Instagram comments filled with requests for her to give a sign if she needed help. When Britney appeared to do exactly what people asked for in the comments, fans became even more convinced she was communicating through coded signals. That suspicion grew into a major movement under the hashtag #FreeBritney. Thousands of people across social media claimed Britney wasn't free and that her life was being controlled by others. They demanded the court end the conservatorship, which they believed was restraining her and treating her condition as a way to keep money flowing for the people around her. The movement expanded, leading to protests outside the courthouse and wide international media coverage. From the moment that anonymous call came in, more and more people believed something was being kept from the public. They became convinced the system wasn't truly protecting Britney. After that, every video and every caption on her account was treated like a puzzle piece that had to be pieced together. On June 23, 2021, Britney Spears was finally allowed to speak directly to a judge in open court. And what she said hit like a punch. She described years of feeling forced to work, years of not having real control over her own life, down to basic choices about her body.
I work 7 days a week, no days off, which in California, the only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking. Making anyone work against their will, taking all their possessions away, credit card, cash, phone, passport card, and placing them in a home where they They work with the people who live with them. They all lived in the house with me, the nurses, the 24/7 security.
Her testimony made it clear how limited her rights had been. She said major decisions, tours, new albums, were made without her approval. And even when she tried to push back, she still had to live under other people's decisions. For a lot of the public, that was the moment the story flipped. A system that was supposed to help started to look like a tool for heavy control. Not long after, on November 12th, 2021, the court ended the conservatorship and restored Britney's legal control over her own life. It was a new chapter after more than 13 years under strict oversight. Still, freedom on paper didn't instantly erase the distrust. Some people kept looking at the bigger machine around her: the legal system, the money, the entertainment industry. Commentators like Candace Owens argued that the entertainment world often treats celebrities less like people and more like business assets, kept moving as long as they can still generate money. She also claimed what happened to Britney wasn't unique, and that other stars have been handled in similar ways. That idea fed into an even wider suspicion that behind Britney's case, there's a larger structure, powerful enough to shape careers, control access, and keep the business running no matter what the person at the center wants. And even after the conservatorship ended, doubts didn't disappear. Fans and media watched Britney return to work almost immediately, and some people took that as another sign that the industry still had a grip on her life, just in ways that were harder to see. So where do you land on it? Do you think Britney is truly free now, or is the control simply less obvious?